How's it going? I'm Ryan. Today I'm going to go over the 3 trades I took on in queue. I had my first trade was a break-even trade. My second trade was a loss. My third trade was a win that made it all back and some. So let's go over those in just a second. For now, I'm going to hop into a higher time frame. We'll take a look at what levels I was watching. So I'll just pull up a 15-minute. All right. So coming into the day, we have yesterday's high, that's this green level. We have yesterday's low, that's that red level. This is all pre-market or after hours pre-market moves. These levels here are the value area for the overnight session. So this is the value area high. The yellow is the point of control. And this candle, or this level here, excuse me, is the value area low. Didn't really come into play. Price was really strong right out of the gate, got an explosive move up. That means there's imbalance to the buy side, and it certainly did react that way. So some of these other levels, so went over the high and low, went over the value area from the overnight session. These blue levels are all levels that are found using the volume profiles of 8-hour candles. So I have a 8-hour candle here, or 8-hour chart here. So the time frame is 8 hours. Each of these represents an 8-hour period, and that yellow line is the point of control, aka the price at which the most volume was transacted during that 8-hour session. And I use these because this is liquidity. We're looking at where the buyers and sellers are most active, and we expect to get price to respond to these areas, especially when you see multiple areas kind of line up. Like if multiple candles have the same point of control or in the same price range, you can expect that to be a pretty prominent target. So that's where the blue levels are from. Green and red, yesterday's high and low. The oranges are value area high and low. Yellow is the point of control. So let's take a look. We'll pull up the 5-minute because I trade off of the 5-minute primarily. We opened up about 21,420. Nice. I was looking for a hold of this 400 level. That 400 was a pretty big level the past couple days, yesterday and throughout the pre-market after hours session. You can see it acted as resistance, then support. You can see this price chopping around here. That's an indication that there is a lot of volume being transacted, or at least a lot of buying and selling happening, because price isn't really moving to one direction or the other. You know, you have balanced buying and selling. There isn't an imbalance at this point. But then you see price break out, come back, retest that level. In the after hours and pre-market, you see a price test it, reject it, hold it as support, test it, reject it, et cetera, et cetera. So I was watching that we had made a move up yesterday and then kind of pulled back in the after hours, and then we were moving up in the pre-market, and I wanted to see a continuation of this bullish trend. A break above these swing highs here would be a new high. See a new high, wait for a higher low, etc. So that's pretty bullish coming in today. What I wanted to see is a test and continuation from that 400. We didn't quite get it. Price did get pretty close down here, 404, and then we got a big move up. Broke right through the value area overnight, so that wasn't even in play at all, and came right up to this level here at 506 that I had. You see some temporary kind of testing off that level, as well as yesterday's high a day. So I didn't want to take a trade in here because things were pretty constricted. But from that point, we broke out, came down, retested both yesterday's high and that level at 506. Made that move up to the next level, 570. I did not get into any of this. So price is moving up pretty quick. What I would want to see is a pullback and a higher low, and then continuation. I could enter on that higher low or confirmation of a higher low, put my risk below that low, that swing low, take a target at, my next level. Didn't quite get that. We had a really explosive move up. The only real pullback that we had in this whole first hour of the day was this, and it wasn't even quite a pullback, as well as it was kind of, like I said, a little bit constricted between yesterday's high a day and this level here. So didn't want to take anything in there. I just felt like the risk to reward wasn't there. But we moved up, ultimately hitting this next target. This is 653, 21,653. Like I said, it's just a high volume area from the 8-hour time frame. So that's how we find those levels, and that's kind of the target. As we break one, we target the next, etc. Price starts chopping around in here, and I took my first trade on this candle here. So as we came up, tested, rejected, you see pretty high volume on that reject. Price breaks above it, quickly falls below it, and then tests it again and closes pretty weak. I entered a short position here. My first take profit was just a few points below this wick here. It was down here at 616. My stop loss was above high a day. My first take profit was this swing low, this little candle wick here. The second was at 21,600. The reason being is I was looking at the volume profile of the 5-minute candles. If I take us all the way back, you'll be able to see this. Here we go. So if you remember, these yellow lines represent the price at which the most volume was transacted within that candle. So both these two candles here, this 5-minute and this 5-minute, had the exact same point of control, and it was right at that 600 level. So a lot of volume occurring there. So as we were kind of pulling back, I was hoping that we'd drop to that 600 level and test that liquidity that was there. So that was kind of the idea. As we came up and started to reject this level, I figured, all right, we're going to pull back, as well as we kind of have this gap right between here and up here. We have a gap where there's not a ton of volume. We have some high volume nodes down here. We have some high volume nodes up here. A gap in between. I expected price to come down and reach that liquidity, which it ultimately didn't do. This was my break-even trade, because as we close this next candle, kind of wicking down into that area, we close with higher volume and we close green, looking like we're not going to break lower. I just got out at break-even here, which was a good decision on my part, because we did come up and what would have been my stop loss would have been hit. So avoided a loss there. Second trade, and this was definitely the worst trade that I took today. The first trade, I'm fighting the trend, which isn't necessarily the thing that you want to do. I had reasoning behind it. We had price action, we had volume, we had some reasoning behind it. It wasn't completely blind, but it was counter to the trend. So that could be looked at as, rather than looking for a long opportunity, I was looking for a short, and that's kind of the wrong side of the trend to be on. Moving on, the next trade that I took was a long in here. Reason being that we set a new high, and then we came down and we tested this level and held it with a bit of a hammer. So I looked to get long here, targeting swing high and then higher, or high a day and then a break higher. Stop loss was just down here below these wicks, and I was stopped out by this candle here. So this candle stopped me out, and then price actually moved up and would have hit my target, or hit what would have been my target. So this was a little bit of a tough trade, not advisable, and the reason that we were kind of chopping around in here, right? We had this nice move to the upside, and we started moving sideways, and even though we got this breakout, the volume wasn't necessarily high, the price action wasn't necessarily strong. You see the very next candle is pretty bearish, and then we get kind of more bullish candles in here, so it just shows that we were within this range, right? And that makes sense, because these levels, like I said, they're the areas where a lot of volume is transacted. That means there's a lot of people buying and selling. The imbalance that we had as we broke out to the upside, we're starting to find some balance as more sellers come into the market, and price is kind of failing to either drop or go to the upside. So I think the timing on this was just unfavorable, as well as, I took a short position here, and then 15 minutes later I'm taking a long position. Another thing I was looking at was this 15-minute chart. We'd come up and we'd tested this level on the 15-minute chart, looking kind of weak, like we had a strong move up. Then we test, can't close above, test, can't close above, test it, close barely above, and then start dropping below it. So I don't know. That second trade wasn't great. My thought was that, if we could hold this high volume area in here, like hold this area in here, that we should at least break higher potentially, because the trend was so strong on the day. But I think just avoiding this chop would have been more preferable overall. All right. at this point, that was my loss. So I got stopped out, and then price did eventually move up and hit my target. I took 2 trades on the first trade, break even, or excuse me, 2 contracts on the first trade, break even. 3 contracts on the second trade was a loss for about 20 points. And the third trade, I stepped away. I went and had a lunch break, did some things, came back because usually lunch period is pretty slow. Came back to the market right around here. As we came back and pulled back to this level, this 570, I'm looking for price action to respond in a way that gives me an entry signal. When we came down and we tested this level and performed a hammer on increasing volume, you see higher volume than this red candle that brought us here. And then as well, if I go to the 5 minute, so we can see the volume profile of that candle, we have that volume, that point of control kind of right in the middle of that candle. So it actually closed higher than that, which tells me if there's a lot of volume kind of in this area in here, and price pushed up above that, and you see volume increasing here. So everything appears to be pretty bullish, right? If there's a ton of volume there that was selling, you'd expect price to close below it. But because there's a ton of volume there and price closed higher, that should tell you that at least there wasn't more buying than selling, I should say. There is an imbalance to the upside. I got in long on this following candle, targeting this swing high. We came up, we hit that swing high. I had my runner just a little bit above it, and that runner was hit by this following candle here, the same one that broke that swing high. That was kind of the play. Entered on this candle after this 5 minute closed, entered on the following candle, stop loss below this wick, take profit at swing high, runner above that if we break out, and that worked. And I took that with 5 contracts, so I took that with increased size. I would like to trade 4 to 5 contracts more regularly. I was downsizing to 1 to 2 to 3, more like 2 on the regular, as I was kind of getting used to how I'm trading. I'm using volume profiles, etc. But I'm feeling a bit more comfortable, and I'm ready to go back to the original size that I have been trading with, primarily on a 50K account, which is about 5 contracts. So I took this one with full size. We came up, hit it, and we're up about 130, 140 on the day. So the PA account is up 626. Not too bad off just a few days of trading. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to close the computer and walk away after you take a loss, but I wasn't in a tilt mindset. I really just wanted to come back and see if the market gave me a better setup, because I realized I kind of took a silly loss on some choppy price action that I shouldn't have. So I just gave it some time to play out, see if we could form something that looked a little bit more preferable, and take a higher probability trade, and found it here. Timing was pretty nice. So that's it. Looking to trade live through the rest of this week, so I appreciate you being here. We'll be trading live and streaming it on this YouTube channel for the rest of the week, and then following those up with recap videos, going over the trades I took and why. That's all I got for you. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. Peace.